how I went from a professional from a professional 19-year-old daydreamer who believed she was meant for more to a 26-year-old semi-successful adult who moved abroad and now is making a life on her own. Hi. Welcome everybody. This is Yap Sessions with me, Ailís. My name is pronounced Ailís, like you're about to lease an apartment. So now that that's clear, let's get started on the main topic today, which is delusion. Okay, somebody's wanting to join in. Yeah, so the main topic today is the delusion of it all and how delusion can take you far. So let's talk about how I was a professional daydreamer and how that carried me all the way through where I am right now in my life, in my PJs here, in my apartment in Toronto. So I've been a serial daydreamer. Like, I've been daydreaming my entire life about potential scenarios of how my life can be. Like, that's just me. No, I'm not a Taurus. I am a Virgo. A very structured Virgo, but either way, I am a very, like, in my head kind of person, and I always used to like to daydream. I still do, about life, about potential scenarios that can happen, about fights that have already happened, and now I have to, like, I don't have to deal with it, but then I like rethink about the argument again. So yeah, let's see how that mindset has carried me through life. I'm looking at my notes because no way in hell that I can think about this whole topic without understanding like everything that I went through. So I was a 17-year-old. I was just out of high school, and it was I try to think of myself back then, and it was so interesting how I was still kind of a go-getter, but I was very naive and lost in what I wanted. Like, I didn't really have anything specific that I can say, like, I can do this thing and I can manage and organize everything. Like, I was very naive in that sense of like, I wanted something and I try to get it, but I never had like the right steps to get to that place, just because I wasn't like well researched enough to get to where I wanted, if that makes sense. So when I was 17, I wanted to move outside of Dominican Republic. I did not want to live in Dominican Republic because I knew that for what I wanted and the life that I wanted, Dominican Republic wasn't gonna be enough for me, or I just wasn't, I would be conforming if I stayed there. That being said, I love Dominican Republic. I love my country. It's the best country in the world. But for me, it was just like, this is a place that I would love to vacation at, but not really live my whole life in, just because I also want to go into acting. I want to do like, I want to have a more creative path, and I knew that DR right now isn't ready for that, you know? So I'm 17, wanting to go into the art world, and wanting more out of life. Let me put some music because it's just getting like boring. So yeah, so I wanted more out of life, and I wanted more out of like the situations that I was going through. I just really wanted. Okay, we got music going on. But yeah, I just really wanted, I was excited about life. I was excited about what I could achieve, and I just wanted more because I knew that I could get more. I was delusional in that sense. So I decided to apply to colleges here in Canada. I wanted to move to somewhere that you could speak English, just because that was my second language, and I didn't want to go to a Spanish speaking country because it would be like the same as staying in DR. So I decided to start applying to Canada, just because I knew the process was going to be easier than applying to United States. And I went through that whole process. I applied to like 2 colleges. I got accepted into York University at 17 years old. My parents knew that I was going through the process, but they didn't really understand what I wanted because I wasn't really explaining it properly, and I wasn't actually prepared to move at 17 years old to another country. But I was being delusional. I applied, I got accepted, and then we decided to start sending like to different ministries, to the first lady, like letters, just so to see if they could like sponsor me and if I could get a scholarship to go to York University, because my parents like did not have the money to send me abroad. Like, let's be for real, they did not have the money to be able to even send me for a year or a couple months, and I knew that going into the whole thing. So then I got accepted, never got a scholarship, and I just decided to take a sabbatical. I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to go to school here. I don't want to do anything here. So I was just like confused in my home country, and I was like, I don't know what I should do with my life. I just knew that I wanted to get into acting, to get into like arts, graphic design, illustration, which I knew it was always acting, but I was trying to look for something that seemed more something that my parents could understand more, that was more like tangible for them, because being an actor wasn't. It was 2017 and my parents are boomers. Like, they were like, you need a degree, and I totally get that. They were like, you need a degree, little girl, and we need to send you off into the world being able to accomplish something, or being safe enough that you're ready for whatever comes at you. So I decided to go into a call center and start working. So I did, and I started working. I started saving up money. Again, I was 17 years old, working at a call center with other people that were of different ages, like younger than me, like older than me, and I just decided to go into that. And then then after that, I wasn't really enjoying myself. It was very stressful. Like, everybody that has worked in a call center knows that it's freaking hell on earth. Like, people call you to complain about things, and it can be anything, and you're like, please, I just want the money. Like, I'm just here because I need the money. Please leave me alone. So that was kind of my vibe. I made a lot of friends because I always do, and I always annoy people into being my friend. So then after working at a call center, I was like, okay, I need to do something else. I need to get a degree. And my parents were being like actually pretty nice about me doing a sabbatical. That still to this day is very impressive, that as Dominican parents, they were like, we need to let this girl figure her shit out, and they did. And then after that, I went into an art school in the Dominican Republic called Chabon. I went there and I started as an illustrator, and then I was like, oh shit, how do I take this off? Oh, okay, I'm back. Sorry. This went away and TikTok wanted to lock himself because I'm past the time that I'm supposed to be using TikTok, but whatever. So then I went to an art school in DR, and it was just, I went into it as an illustrator because I wanted to be an illustrator. We all knew I wanted to be an actress. Like, since I was little, I've always wanted to be an actress. But then I went as an illustrator because it was like, yeah, this seems like a reasonable path that I can explain to my parents. And then while I was there, I was like, I don't like this shit. I am like, I have a strategic mindset. Like, even though I'm very artistic and very like free creative, and like I like to move around and do crazy shit and be on my PJs all day, I am very creative. But I also have a strategic side to my brain. So I was like, I'm not cut out for illustration. And my professors were like, you're great at ideation and thinking about things, but not really executing, or you're not the best at executing. Or what one of my professors said, you don't put much effort into it. And I was like, no, because I'm into like the thinking, and I like to leave the execution to other people, which I still do to this day. So then my professor there was like, I think you would be a great graphic designer, another professor. And I was like, maybe I would be maybe yeah. So then I just decided to go into graphic design and switch. Like at that moment I still could switch between like different programs within the art school. So I was like, let me just move into graphic design, because I feel like that's where I can get the most amount of money. That seems the most reasonable. That seems the most understandable to people. Like, you kind of know how graphic design works a little bit. Even if you don't know about it, you kind of know if you see something, like if you a logo or whatever, you kind of have an idea of what it is. So I was like, yeah, maybe I should just go into graphic design. Little did I know how complicated and complex graphic design really is. And I love it, but I don't love it enough to do it on my day-to-day basis. So I went into the art school, went into a tremendous amount of stress. With now, I'm thinking that every time that I bump into like a very stressful moment in my life, it's always because I am misaligned with what I really want. And now I've just realized that. Crazy. So yeah, then after that, I did 2 years of that program. I was still in my delusional mindset of I want to move into Canada, I want to move to another country, like this ain't it. And then but that slowly just started to fade. It started to like be in the back burner. I wasn't really thinking much about what I could accomplish. I was just like, I need to be done with school. I need to be done with what I thought was my duty or my responsibility, which is like, if you hear me as a Latino person and you hear what I'm saying, it's very common to think that way. And I was like, yeah, let me just do what my parents want me to do and just continue on with my life. Wow, my sister joined my life for the first time. Can somebody change her publicly? Thank you. So yeah. After that, I was like, I don't know if I am cut out to live in the art world. And I decided to finish school. I finished school during COVID, which was insane. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It's awful. It's ridiculous. So then I finished school during COVID, and then after that I just started working freelance, doing freelance work, like connecting with other people, like doing collab work with other people. And then I decided to create my own business in graphic design, which was short-lived but enjoyed during that time. And then I was like, okay, I also skipped another part of my story that is not relevant to this part, but yeah. But yeah, I had been listening to a lot of like motivational stuff, reading a lot of books, and I had already kind of like woken up. Like, you know, that moment when you're living your life and then you wake up, like you're awake, but then you wake the fuck up, like you're actually awake and you're like, I am actually living life, and everything that I do affects everything else that I do. So I was like, I need to like get out of this, like follow the rules and like, do the same shit all over again, which I always bump into. As I said, like I always bump into like I need to change my whole life again, which is what I did. And I was like, okay, I need to leave. Like, I cannot live in Dominican Republic. This is not enough for me. I've tried many things, and I was like, I'm done. I'm gonna plan so I can move to Canada. So then I decided to research that process. Like that thing came up again and again in my life. Like, a lot of people were like, we're moving to Canada. And then I was like, oh, Canada again. And then other people were like, yeah, we're gonna do this thing, and then we're gonna travel to Toronto. And I'm like, oof, there it is again. There it is again. And then I remember then while I was working with doing collab work, like freelance work with one of my friends in graphic design in DR, height of COVID, 2021, I think, or 2022, a couple of friends that I was also doing freelance work with, they were like, we're moving to Canada and you should move with us. Like, we should all go to Canada because here we're not gonna find, they're in the dance world. Thank you. I love this shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts. I got it in a thrift store. But yeah, they were like, we're moving. They were in the dance world, and they were like, we cannot keep going like this. Like, this is not enough for us. And I was like, it's not enough for me either. So then they fully convinced me something that I had already inside of like wanting to move to Canada. So then I just started the process again, started like researching everything. And that moment, I was less naive and more like in my analytical sense that was a catalyst for me to actually look for information that I needed to be able to realistically move to Canada. I also started therapy again, and my therapist was also like a life coach. So she also kind of coached me into like if you want to get here, this is what you need to get done to get there. And I was like, okay, now I have more clarity into like a path that I need to follow. So that at 19 years old, I started this process of wanting to move to another country. I think at 20 and 21, I actually had the process down. I had already done like several consultations with immigration people, and I was like, okay, Delusion is working. I moved from Dominican Republic to now Toronto. So this process is working. This mindset is working. So let me just keep at it. Let's see where this goes. So now I'm starting to noticing throughout this whole process that I don't have any money. That I, as a one person without my parents, I am poor financially. I do not have any money. I have been doing freelance and I've been like affording meals and stuff, but I'm still living under my parents essentially, which is common for anybody in DR. Like, you live with your parents until you get married. So I was like, okay, I need to get my own money because my parents are not gonna be able to afford like put me into school at 22 years old to live in a whole new country and to try and stay there. So I have to get my shit together and manage my situation. So then after much crying, because I did not want to go back to corporate world, I decided to go to an agency. After much crying, I decided to get an actual job, stop doing freelancing, and go to an agency. I went to an agency, worked there for a couple months. They just needed me for like a short period of time. But then after that, I was like, okay, consistent money is working, and this is something that I can use to save up money with. So I'm like, okay, this is the tea. This is what I need to do. So then I applied to jobs. I found a job in a call center, but as a graphic designer. See how things connect back? So then I went to that job in another call center, but working as a graphic designer, mostly on like social media and designs for email marketing and social media. Hold that thought. So then I started working there. I started getting more money. And then a couple of months went by. I did another session with an advisor in one of the colleges that I was planning to apply to, which was a private school, which is not recommended for people that are wanting to like move to another country, to Canada, to come to a private school and then manage to stay here, because those are not designated learning institutions. Anybody who's in an immigration process coming to Canada knows that you need to apply to a designated learning institution. So then when I talked to that advisor, the advisor was like, yeah, this is not the right process for you and everything that you've done is shit. He did not say that, but he was very empathetic with my situation. He was like actually the information that they gave you is wrong. Like, this is what you need to get done. You need to review this and that. And I was like, okay. So then that sent me in a crash out. I cried for several more hours. as I do every time anything doesn't go my way. And then I was like, okay, I just need to keep at it. After I got frustrated for a little, I'm gonna say a long time, but for me a long time is like a week. But then I got frustrated, and then I was like, okay, what the hell, like I kind of gave up. But then I was like, okay, now what do I have to do? Like, let's start this over again from a credible source, and see and turn this fantasy that I had of like wanting to move to another country into a reality. So that's me at, I think, 21 years old, feeling like my whole world was crashing around me, and having to work more time than I expected in a full-time job, because I also didn't have enough money still to be able to move. Like, I didn't even have the funds needed by the Canadian immigration system to be like, I can move to another country. Like, I didn't even have those funds. So that's how unfunded I was. So then I went through the whole thing, and while all of that was happening, I don't know why. I think this is how I'm just wired mentally. Like, I am a delusional person. Like, I daydream. I think about life a lot, and I think about what life could be and how I like can have a better life. And I just kept thinking about that. I kept thinking about my life in Canada. I kept researching. I kept looking for blogs and doing vision boards, which I still to this day, oh my god, I still to this day do. Like, I still have my vision boards, and I still like do them. I gave up on it for like 2 years because it wasn't working for me, but now I've started to do it again with less pressure. But yeah, I just didn't have clarity, didn't have money, didn't have experience. So I went from that to having a little bit more experience, a little bit more money, and a whole lot of clarity, but still I didn't have the means to continue with that process. So that was just me like going into a crusher again, because I had to stay in a corporate setting, which I don't like. I don't like being employed. Like, I'm just a person that thrives in doing whatever she wants, which is not realistic. Like, I love my job right now because of social media. Like, it's very entertaining and it's fun, and I get to be creative. But yeah, I get bored. Like, I get bored, and I want to explore other things, and I want to do like different projects. And that's the reason why I also like acting so much, because you not only get to be a different person, you also get to experience new things through a person that doesn't really exist, and you're creating a new human. So for me, that's very interesting, and like such a fun part of being an actor. Like, you can be whatever you want and whoever you want, and do whatever you want and react in whatever way you want, because everything, like, it's all a game. Like, it's all play, pretend, which I love, but you're also representing people that are real. So it's like a fun balance that I love. So yeah, so flash forward to me, 23 years old. I have a little bit more money. I start applying to things, paying it with my own money, and my parents are scared as hell because I am a child. I am their youngest child. I am 23 years old, which is not old. When you're 23, you know that you're not old. You're still a kid. So I'm 23. I have 2 older sisters, and I mean, they've parented me my whole life. So it's like I have 4 parents, kind of. So I'm like the baby of the family, wanting to move to another country where my sisters still lived in DR. That's very important to know. So I was like breaking with a lot of shit that my parents weren't really used to, which I don't know how they dealt with that so well, to be absolutely honest with you. But then a big catalyst is that my oldest sister moved to Mexico, and that was the first time that one of us had ever, like, the 5 of us had ever moved to another country. So after that, I moved. But let's not skip the important parts of the story. So I'm 23. I just started applying to schools. I was like, I'm gonna apply to Seneca because it's the most affordable school. It was between Humber College and Seneca. And I was like, I'm not hearing good things about Humber in the height of COVID, so I am gonna apply to Seneca. Little did I know that regardless any of those schools, I was still gonna meet the same people. Like I think about it, I was thinking about it yesterday. I applied to Seneca and I have met wonderful friends that I love them so much. Like they're the best people that I could be surrounded with right now in this state of my life. But then if I had gone to, is that my cousin? Hi. But yeah, I decided then, oh, Humber. So if I went to Humber, I would have been, like, I would have met the same people. Like, my friend who's a content creator, Esme, I would have met her at Humber because we would have been in Humber around the same time. I would have met Mariana, which is my cousin's best friend who lives here. Like, I would have met several of the same people, and that's how crazy the universe is, that wherever you go, like, you're still meant to meet the people that you're meant to meet. So then, yeah, I went to Seneca. I applied to Seneca. I paid for my first semester at Seneca. And after that, my parents were going crazy. They were like, is this girl actually moving to another country? I was like taking care of my visa. I was taking care of renewing my passport and renewing my American visa. Like I was taking care of my own shit, which I see it now. And it was still really hard for me to deal with all those things on my own. And moving on your own is hard. Moving on your own is hard. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. Everybody that I've met has done it as a couple. I have met very few people. Usually the people who are in school with me are the ones that have moved on their own, which would be Audrey and Gabby, because my friends who are like brothers, like they're brothers, they came, the two of them. But then there are several people that have come here on their own, and you gotta have the ovaries to be able to move to another country on your own and live on your own and like take care of your own shit. Like that's hard. Like I don't know how I did it to this day. Like Delusion carried me through, which is why I'm telling you that Delusion works. Delusion works. Delusion is the tea. Club that shit. Delusion. So 23-year-old being hi Enza. 23-year-old being delusional in freaking Canada on her own. So my sister lived in Mexico, but she was gonna be here. My oldest sister was gonna be here in Canada to like welcome me. I was gonna stay with her friend for a few days. That turned into weeks, that turned into a month. And I stayed with her for a month. Then my parents had some friends here that resulted into being my actually blood related family from like a very far away lineage, but like they're my blood like family, like relatives. So then I moved with them. So I came here August 9th. I stayed with my sister's friend for like a month until like early September or at the end of August. Then I went to my uncle and aunt's house. I stayed with them for like a month and a half, and that's when I started going to school. So then I kept going to Seneca back and forth from Oakville, because let me draw you a picture. This is downtown Toronto. This is Oakville, and my school was over here in North York. So I had to go from Oakville all the way back and forth. It was a 3-hour ride, like just one way and then the other way. But it was interesting. I made a lot of friends. Like I became friends with my cousin, and yeah, like moving here has been insane because I try to think about it going back, and I know the hardship that I went through, and I kind of remember like how stressed I was. Like in those first couple of months, my main goal was to get a job. My main goal was to get friends. Like I was so scared that people weren't gonna like me. Like I remember talking to my best friend about this just a few days before I moved, and he was like, what are you the most scared of? Like, what is it that you're stressed about the most? And I was like, I am the most stressed about not making friends. Like I told everybody that I was so stressed that I wasn't gonna make any friends because I didn't really think people were gonna like me to be honest with you. So then I just started making friends, and I was like, okay, check. The biggest thing, the scariest thing, check. I had been applying to jobs since May, since I knew that I was gonna move, and I moved here in August, and I didn't get it, and I was still like, I still wasn't getting a job. So I kept applying, and I started school in September, and it wasn't until November, after starting applying, I started applying in May of 2023. I got a job in November 2023. I applied to over 200 jobs just on Indeed, and then on LinkedIn another amount of jobs, and I don't even know the jobs that you have to go to their main website to apply. Like, I applied to so many jobs, but then I got a job as a graphic designer, which, again, see how they connect back? Like, the things, they keep happening in a way so specific. But that was my leap of faith. Like, I still didn't have like all the money to pay for the 2 years of school, and then my oldest sister offered to help me out with that. But then I had to take like such a strong leap of faith, and now that I'm thinking about it, I was insane. Like, Delusion really carried me through, because what do you mean that I'm 23 years old, I'm gonna move to another country by my own, like on my own, and then I am gonna live my life, find a job, and yeah, like, deal with that shit. Like, you have to be crazy to be able to dream of those things. So yeah, and then I also didn't realize, I knew that going to another country was gonna be like, it was gonna be a whole process of grief, but then I don't really know how to put words into it until like a few days ago. My mom sent me like a reel about migratory grief, and I was like, this explains it so well. Like, you don't even, it's like you're literally putting to rest your old life. Like, you're putting it on a grave, and you're like lowering it to the ground, and you're moving to another country to start a whole new life. Like, you start a whole new life. So you still have your friends, you still have your family, but you still have your culture and your country, but you become a person that's not living within the bounds of culture in your country. So you start being affected by the culture of the country that you live in. You start becoming different than your family, because you start to adapt to people around you, because that's what you do. Like, that's what you do. That's the common thing. Every time you move to a new group of friends, you kind of like adapt to the little group. So then you start becoming a little bit more independent and different from your family, which for me was like a very big deal, because I didn't know that I was very attached to my family and very attached to their opinions, and like I care so deeply about whatever they say that I was like, oh shit, like, they're not here anymore. Like, I'm dealing with everything literally alone, even though when I was like living with them, I didn't want them to help me out and deal with my things, but I still knew that I had them there. But here, I don't have them here. Like you know what I mean? Like, it's so strange. So then you start to adapt to this culture. It's very different from your culture. You start to see what are the things that give you cultural shock that you weren't used to, because Dominican Republic is a very like warm country. Everybody's so excited. Like, the weather is so much different. Like, it's summer all year long. Everybody's so anxious and stressed and like loud and whatever, which I love because I am that way. But then I come to this country where everything is so structured, like very organized. People aren't as warm, like they're very polite, and you start to see like all those differences, and you're like, wait, I didn't know that I was gonna get into this whole thing of like putting to die my old life and then starting like a new, absolutely new life. And if you have experienced that, give it a double tap to the screen, because this is not something for this is not something for the weak. This is something for the people that are like crazy, like me, and like you, if you have gone through all of this. But yeah, that I got my first job in November, also as a graphic designer, for social media. And then I was like, I'm kind of like in the social media thing. And I had already started a little bit. I was like, I'm going to document a little bit of my life here, because I for once I thought my life was now interesting now that I moved to another country. I was like, wow, finally my life is interesting. Like, it's something new. Like, it's not the same old that, which is shit, because everyone's life is interesting. And if you want to make content, you can make content out of literally anything. Like, you can make content out of anything. And it's so stupid now that I think about it, that I was like waiting for this new life to feel like I was exciting when I am the shit. Like, you have to think about it that way. You're the shit. You're incredible. And if you're alive and you breathe and you have a roof over your head and a phone, like, why not use that to your favor? You know what I mean? So yeah, in those moments, I feel like the thing that held me down the most were two things. First, my delusional mindset, like, delusion helps. And then having a support system, like, that's something that I was thinking about a lot before I moved to Canada. Like, strengthen my relationships with my family, with all my friends, like spending more time with my mom, with my dad, which I never had like the most seamless relationship with. And I had to really work on that intentionally, because I didn't want to leave with the mindset of trying to escape, which I would have when I was 17 years old. If I had moved when I was 17, I would have been escaping life in DR, which did not happen when I was 23, because I already had my friends, I had my community, I had already like a little circle of people that I valued a lot, versus when I was 17, I didn't really have like really strong friendships. I had like 2 strong friendships, and I didn't have a strong relationship with my family, which I do now, and I did before I left. So then I think that's like the main thing. Having a support system is so overlooked. Like, you need your family to be there for you, or you need, even if it's your chosen family, like, you need people to be there to support you, and you need like something that's gonna help you out when you're in your lowest of your low. And I love that I had my family for that. So yeah, little break, because I have been talking nonstop for 37 minutes. So if anybody wants to add anything or ask any questions, this is your moment. I need to breathe. This is my cue to tell my sister to ask me a question. Ask me a question, bitch. Any question. I know you're laughing and you don't want to ask questions. Ask a question. Any question that I can answer for the peeps. Ah, I knew it. No, I don't miss you. I do miss you. Ask another interesting question. Thank you. She's not gonna ask another question. She's probably like, what do you want me to ask him? But yeah. See, I know her. So then let's talk about how I went from my 23-year-old self, who was literally burying the life that she knew, to my 26-year-old self, which is the one that you're seeing in this camera, that is talking to anybody that wants to listen to me, and is living a life very much different than what this year started. I did a TikTok, and I put it on the other app, not Instagram, and it got viral. And this year, like, the difference is so stark. So I came here, I have been studying since 2023. I graduated this year. Since after I lived with my family in Oakville, I moved to Etobicoke, and I lived in a room, like in a homestay with other people. So then that's how the year started. Me being a student, renting a room. I was working as a part-time contractor, not with the job that I had on November 2023, which I got fired from in a very like strange way. They were like, we don't need you anymore after this date. And I was like, oh. And then I applied to another job, and then randomly I got that job as a social media coordinator. So see how things like flow seamlessly in a way that you do not expect them to, but kind of like written in their stars, very aligned. But yeah, 2025 started me as a student renting a room as a part-time contractor. My family had never visited me since I moved in 2023. Like they weren't able to. And then no acting jobs, because we've been talking that I've been wanting to be an actor since I was little, okay? So then now it's end of 2025, and we're ending the year in a very different state. I am no longer a student. I am proudly a graduate of Seneca Polytechnic, which changed the name. It used to be Seneca College, and now it's Seneca Polytechnic. But I have graduated Seneca Polytechnic. I am no longer a student. I am now a full-time employee in the same company that hired me as a part-time contractor after my job, like, let me go. My first job, let me go. I now live in my very own apartment, which is crazy, in downtown Toronto. So I moved from Etobicoke to downtown Toronto, which was the dream since I was 17. Since I thought of myself living in Canada, I was like, I am gonna have my own little apartment, and I am gonna decorate it however I want, and I'm gonna live my own life. And now that 70-year-old should be like thrilled, because I am literally here. Like, girl, you did it, you made it, we're here. My family visited this year. So my parents and my oldest sister came for my graduation, and then my middle sister came to visit me late October, which is the one lurking around somewhere. And then I also got an agent in July of last year, an acting agent, which again, it's the reason why we're here. So I got an agent, and then that agent, I had auditioned for many things. Like, they had sent me for several different jobs, but I didn't book anything until March of this year. And it's so recent, but it doesn't feel recent. Like, the 2025 feels like it has been going for 17 years. It has been the longest year of my life to this date, even more than 2017, which, if you know me, you know what happened in 2017. But this year has been so long. And I have already 4 acting gigs. I did a commercial for Downy that was never released. I did a commercial for Spectrum, the broadcasting brand, that was released, but I haven't even seen. Like, I don't even know where it is. And then I had another commercial made that I was Princess Leia from Star Wars for Coca-Cola. I did a commercial for Coca-Cola. Are you kidding me? I did a commercial for Coca-Cola. Are you crazy? And I also did auditions for TV shows, which is crazy. And then I did another commercial, but I can't talk about it because it hasn't been released. But it has been like the commercial that I had the most lines on. Like, I had a full monologue, and I am very proud of the job that I did, even though in that day, those several days of shooting, I was very, very stressed that I wasn't doing a good job. But I think they liked me, and like the client, I think they were like very happy with what I did, and I'm really excited to see the one and to see myself. I'm hoping that I'm in the final cut. But yeah, the year has been very different. So see how far you can get feeding into your delusions. Like, I'm gonna mention it every 5 minutes. Delusion works. It's the delusion of it all. Like, if you're delusional in life, but you also mix it with like strategic mindset of like knowing the steps that you need to get done to get to where you want to be, you're gonna get there, hun. You're gonna get there. Which is what I've been doing, even though I try to trick myself into believing that I am not doing what I need to do, and even if I am, me estoy echando un boche a mí misma. I'm like reprimanding myself because how come I've been so stupid not to believe that I am like I could be considered successful. I have accomplished so many things. The thing is, I am not able to call myself successful because I keep pushing the freaking finish line every single time that I accomplish something. I'm like, okay, then what else can we accomplish? Which is good, but it's also not good because I need to be, first, a little bit more grateful, and second, a little bit more like praising myself for like, and patting myself in the back for like doing the shit and getting so far. Like, from that 17-year-old girl that wanted to move abroad and live her own life and do acting even though she didn't want to admit it, to this, we're getting somewhere. I think. So yeah. So 26-year-old me, the becoming. The girl that hasn't really arrived anywhere, but is wanting... See what I did there again? I keep pushing the finish line. But yeah, this is something that I've built that I think independence, when you think about it, it's such a weird thing because I feel like I've been all my life, I think. My sister can confirm. I've been very independent my whole life. Like I've been my mom always tells the story that when I was little and I wanted to go to sleep, she would try to put me to sleep in like her little how do you call that chair? In that like chair that moves side by side or front to back, and she used to like put me to sleep there, and then as soon as I knew that I was about to fall asleep, I would stand up and leave and go fall asleep in my own bed. Like, I was that kind of independent. Don't blame me. I'm a Gen Z girly. But yeah, I realize now that independence looks... Yeah, I am my dog's mother. He's exactly like that. But yeah, I've just realized now that independence looks very different. Like, you can be independent in so many ways, and I feel like I think I'm hyper independent. I think I'm independent in a way that it's sometimes not as healthy. But another thing that I also think about is that I also love being around people. Like, I love like being around, like having community, creating projects with other people, like having that excitement happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like I like being on my own, and I love doing projects on my own, but I rather not. Sometimes it's boring, and I again do not enjoy being bored. I enjoy being like excited about things and excited about life and wanting to do more and wanting to get far, and that's what we're doing right now. So another thing that Delusion has taught me is that you need to keep, like, for me, I needed to keep being that daydreamer girl. Like, to this day, I still daydream and I think about what life can be when I get to where I want to get, which is like being a full-time actor, like working on that and having like a loving partner, and I don't know, like being an influencer, and like all of those things that I can think about that I want. I can picture them and like put them in my little vision board and have them there in a place that I can always look at. I'm not always this positive, even though I feel like I'm very optimistic, but sometimes I just want to complain. Sometimes life sucks. Sometimes I just want to like call my sister and be like, everything fucking sucks. Like, this is horrible. I hate this. I want to move back. No, I don't. But you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just gotta let it out and cry it out and be like, okay, I'm ready to try again and continue with what I've been doing. which I do more times than I can count. Like, I complain a lot. I am a big ass complainer. But I always find a way to get to where I want to be. Even though sometimes I don't know it, I am not a person that can stay still and not move and not try new things and not like discover new music. Like, even if it's stupid things, like discover new music, try a new style of editing, or like any of that. Like, I am not a person that can just stay in a corner and be like, I'm just gonna conform with my life. I cannot conform. If there's something I have, if there's something that my parents taught me and my sisters, we do not conform. We do not conform. We don't like to just stick with whatever life has given us. We like to take that and turn it into more. And turn it into more, not in a way that is greedy or just to have more because, but in a way of like, I deserve this because it's my divine right to have the best that the world can give, the best that the universe can give. Clock that shit. Clock that shit. The best that the universe can give, and if that's the case, then why am I not deserving of these things? Like, those are the things that I can get from whatever I do. And I can always pay it forward, which is one of my favorite things too. Like, why not help other people along the way? If you help others, you're helping yourself. But yeah, now I feel like I'm in a place that I have a little bit more stability. Like, I knew that I needed like an apartment just to have like my own place, my own space, to make it cozy, to feel like I can do kind of like whatever I want. There are really no rules. I can just do my thing, and that's what I've been doing. Focusing on like the vision, focusing on trying to stay aligned with what I truly want, and being like, universe, find a way. Like, find a way to make it work. I'm doing what I need to do to stay aligned, but you need to help me out, which is what has been happening lately. I feel like a few things are coming my way that I'm like, you're interesting, I like you. I'm not gonna reveal them because I like to keep those things for me and for my people. But yeah, I don't think I have another lesson other than stay aligned with yourself and what you truly want in life. Be as delusional as you can, because there's nothing that you can't accomplish. If somebody tells you otherwise, they suck and they're boring and they are also not aligned within themselves, so they're telling you what they think is true for them, which is not always the case. And yeah, don't use also delusion in a way that it's about like escaping, which is I think the mistake that I made when I was 17, which I was using daydreaming and delusion to escape whatever was surrounding me, instead of just dealing with like my internal struggles and how that impacted my surroundings. Because let's be real, it wasn't really anybody's fault that life was shit. It was actually my fault, and I just didn't want to admit that it was shit because of me. So it's good that you can have control over those things, because you can change them. Like, if everything sucks because of you, then that's great, because that means that you have control over like how to change that. If life sucks because of you, life can change because of you. Like, if you always think that it's happening because of other people, then you think that you're gonna have to either escape those people or change those people. And no, let's not do that. That's too much work. And it never works. So why would you get yourself through that? Don't. Because I made that mistake, and I still do to this day. I still made that mistake over and over again, because apparently I need to learn a lesson. But I am telling you what I'm doing wrong, so you don't do it. And yeah, I am always trying to remind myself that I still not only have an optimistic mind, and I have a brain that, even though tricks me into believing that everything sucks, I have a brain that loves me, that wants to keep me safe, that even if it's telling me that everything sucks, is for my own survival. So my brain wants to protect me. I have a brain that loves me, and I have a brain that is very imaginative, delusional, idealistic, utopian, you might say. But I also have a system around me of family and friends that also freaking love me and also want to see me succeed. And if the people around you don't want to see you succeed, I hope you do you. I hope you want to see you succeed, and I hope that by wanting to see yourself succeed, you find others that also want to see you succeed. Because the only way for you to believe that for yourself is to just believe it. Just believe it. If you believe it, people around you will believe it, and the people that don't believe it will get the hell out of there. Because so many friends that I've lost that I haven't really lost because they sucked. Like, we weren't really aligning in the things that we wanted, in the values that we have, and in what we believed. Like, one of the things that happened to me before I came here, and this is tea, this is gossip, okay? One of the things, I know you love it. One of the things that happened before I came here is that one of the people around me, I'm not gonna say friend, one of the people around me were like, you've been talking about Canada for so long, but you're still living here. What's up? And I'm like, first of all, it has already happened in my brain. Second of all, fuck you. You suck. And you know what? That person is eating their shit right now, because I am here and I have my own apartment and I live here in Canada, and I think I have a great life. It's not the life that I dream, but it's the life that I used to dream about, and I have it now. And even though it's not what I want right now, it's what I wanted in the past. This is helping me deal with my own shit. Talking about all of this is helping me deal with my own mental issues, so I need to do this more. But yeah, like, this is, even though this is not the dream that I have now, this is the dream that I had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and now I'm living in that dream. And that person that said that to me is no longer in my life. And I have great friends now. And the friends that I have left that are in DR are still my friends. They still want to hear about me, and they still want to see me every time I go. And I love them, and I still want to know about them, and I still want to see them. Because those are the people that have supported me through thick and thin, that I know that if anything happens, they're there for me, and they're there to listen to me. And that's all that matters. Hi, Xiomara. That's all that matters. That you have people around you that care for you, and then you do your best to take care of your body and your brain for them to take care in return to you. And that is the tea for today. And that is the tea for today. Xiomara, llegaste tarde. I'm already done yapping. But if you like my yap sessions and you think your brain works similar to how mine works, you can follow me and you can keep plugging into this little yap sessions every week. Sometimes I have guests, sometimes like today I don't, but I can yap for an hour, as you can see. And tomorrow it's gonna be on YouTube, so for everybody that hasn't seen it, or for everybody that wants a little bit more accessibility and they want to read the captions, you can have it on YouTube. And that's it for today. I'm done yapping. The lesson is be delusional at all costs. I hope to see you next week. Bye.